The arena roared with anticipation, filled with spectators from countless worlds. Lights flickered against the shimmering energy fields that enclosed the dueling platform. The air was thick with tension as the alien duel master stepped forward, his energy blade crackling in his clawed hand. He towered over most beings, his skin gleaming with iridescent scales that reflected the swirling lights around him. His reputation as the undefeated champion of the Galactic circuit preceded him, a figure known for dismantling opponents with ruthless efficiency. Across from him stood the challenger, a lone human. He was unremarkable in appearance, clad in a simple combat suit that bore a few scuffs but no sign of advanced technology. His weapon? A plain, polished steel sword, the kind that seemed laughably primitive in a galaxy dominated by energy-based weaponry. The duel master's lip curled into a sneer as he regarded the human with open disdain. "Are you serious?" the duel master growled, his voice amplified by the arena's sound system. "You brought a piece of sharpened scrap metal to face me?" The crowd erupted into laughter, their jeers echoing across the vast arena. Aliens of every shape and size leaned forward, eager to witness what they assumed would be a swift and humiliating defeat. The human swordsman remained silent, his expression calm and unreadable. He adjusted his grip on the hilt of his sword, the blade catching the light as he raised it slightly. There was no sign of fear or uncertainty in his demeanor, only a quiet confidence that seemed oddly out of place. "What's the matter?" the duel master taunted, circling his opponent. "Cat got your tongue, human? Or are you too terrified to speak?" Still, the swordsman said nothing. His focus remained unwavering, his eyes tracking the duel master's every movement. The duel master chuckled, clearly amused by what he perceived as a futile attempt at bravado. "Very well," the duel master declared, lifting his energy blade high. "Let's get this over with. Try not to embarrass yourself too much." The referee, a floating orb with multiple sensor eyes, hovered between them and emitted a sharp chime to signal the start of the duel. The duel master lunged forward without hesitation, his blade slicing through the air with a trail of crackling energy. The human moved not with panic, but with deliberate precision. He sidestepped the initial strike, his sword flashing up to deflect the follow-up attack. The blades met with a resonant clang, the energy blade sparking against the steel sword. The crowd gasped, momentarily surprised that the human had survived the opening assault. The duel master narrowed his eyes, clearly annoyed. "Beginner's luck," he muttered, resetting his stance. "It won't save you." The human remained silent, his breathing steady. He shifted his weight subtly, preparing for the next exchange. The duel master attacked again, faster this time, his blade a blur of light. The human matched him move for move, deflecting each strike with uncanny precision. The duel master's sneer faded, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. The crowd, sensing the shift in momentum, quieted. The laughter had ceased, replaced by a growing sense of unease. The duel master snarled, his arrogance giving way to frustration. "You're nothing but a primitive savage," he spat. "This ends now." But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his voice. The human swordsman stood firm, his sword steady, his expression unchanged. The duel master had yet to realize it, but the balance of the duel was already shifting. The duel master wasted no time, surging forward with renewed aggression. His energy blade sang through the air, creating blinding arcs of light as he unleashed a relentless assault. Sparks erupted with every strike, the blade humming with destructive power. Each movement was fluid, refined through countless battles, and carried the confidence of someone who had never tasted defeat. The human swordsman met the attack head-on, his sword moving with surgical precision. His movements were subtle but effective, his blade deflecting each strike at just the right angle. The duel master's attacks were powerful, but the human wasted no energy, letting the duel master's strength work against him. The crowd roared with approval for their champion, still convinced of his inevitable victory. They jeered and mocked the human with every near miss, their voices a chaotic symphony of disdain. "You're stalling," the duel master sneered between strikes, his voice thick with contempt. "Admit defeat while you still have your dignity." The human remained silent, his eyes calm and focused. His breathing was steady, his form unshaken. He sidestepped a vicious horizontal slash, pivoting smoothly to maintain his position. The Duel Master pressed harder, determined to break through the human's defenses. His blade glowed brighter, energy flaring with each swing. The air crackled with heat, the floor beneath them scorched by stray energy bursts. But no matter how fast or powerful the Duel Master's strikes became, the human's sword was always there, meeting each blow with unwavering resolve. The Duel Master's frustration grew with every failed attempt to land a decisive hit. "You're just lucky," the Duel Master growled. "Luck runs out." As if to prove his point, he unleashed a flurry of strikes so fast they blurred into a storm of light. The arena vibrated with the sheer force of his assault. The crowd gasped, certain this would be the end. Yet the human swordsman remained undaunted. His blade moved with flawless precision, each parry executed with impeccable timing. His footwork was elegant, efficient, and impossibly calm under the onslaught. The Duel Master's breathing grew heavier, sweat glistening on his scaled brow. His confidence began to waver as he realized the human wasn't just surviving, he was controlling the pace of the duel. The jeers from the crowd faded into stunned silence. Whispers rippled through the stands as spectators began to question what they were witnessing. The Duel Master clenched his jaw, his pride wounded. "How are you doing this?" he demanded, his voice cracking with disbelief. The human finally spoke, his tone measured and composed. "Skill," he said simply. The Duel Master's grip tightened on his blade, anger flickering in his eyes. He was a champion, undefeated and revered. But for the first time, he felt the cold sting of doubt. And doubt, he knew, was a dangerous thing in battle. The Duel Master's frustration boiled over as he charged with reckless determination. His blade crackled with unstable energy, leaving streaks of light in its wake. He swung with brute force, aiming to overpower the human through sheer aggression. Each strike hit harder than the last, sending shockwaves through the arena floor. But the human swordsman remained composed, his movements fluid and precise. Where the Duel Master relied on raw power, the human embodied mastery honed through countless hours of disciplined training. His swordsmanship was a dance, graceful, efficient, and lethal. He parried the Duel Master's wild strikes effortlessly, exploiting every overextension and misstep. The Duel Master stumbled slightly after an overcommitted swing, and the human seized the opening. In a blur of motion, his sword sliced through the air, grazing the Duel Master's forearm. Sparks erupted from the alien's armor as the edge of the human's blade found its mark. A gasp swept through the crowd. The Duel Master had been touched, something that hadn't happened in years. The realization struck both the spectators and the Duel Master himself. Snarling, the Duel Master tightened his grip on his weapon. His arrogance gave way to desperation. "You think one lucky hit changes anything," he spat, masking his fear with bravado. The human didn't respond. He simply adjusted his stance, his blade steady and unwavering. His breathing remained calm, in stark contrast to the Duel Master's labored gasps. The Duel Master lunged again, this time with more caution. He tried to anticipate the human's movements, but the swordsman's strategy was unreadable. His blade was a blur of silver, meeting every attack with impeccable timing. Each clash of their weapons echoed through the arena, but it was clear to those watching that the tide had shifted. The Duel Master, once commanding and invincible, was now on the defensive. His movements grew slower, less precise, as fatigue crept into his limbs. The human pressed his advantage, his strikes becoming more assertive. He targeted weak points in the Duel Master's armor, forcing the alien to retreat step by step. The Duel Master's confidence shattered as he realized he was being systematically dismantled. The crowd, once vocal in their support of the alien champion, watched in stunned silence. They had never seen him struggle like this. The human swordsman, with his primitive weapon and humble demeanor, was outclassing the greatest duelist in the galaxy. Desperation flashed in the Duel Master's eyes. He unleashed a desperate burst of energy, swinging wildly in a last-ditch effort to regain control. But the human was already a step ahead. He ducked under the reckless swing and delivered a swift, decisive strike to the Duel Master's weapon hand. The energy blade flew from the Duel Master's grip, clattering to the ground. He stumbled backward, his chest heaving, eyes wide with disbelief. The human swordsman lowered his blade but kept his stance ready. The Duel Master's reign had come to an end, and everyone in the arena knew it. The Duel Master stood frozen, his chest rising and falling with labored breaths. His weapon lay far out of reach, flickering weakly on the ground. His eyes, once filled with smug superiority, now shimmered with disbelief and reluctant awe. Silence gripped the arena, thousands of spectators watching in stunned amazement at the impossible sight before them. The human swordsman held his blade steady, its polished surface gleaming under the lights. He made no move to press the attack, his posture calm and controlled. There was no gloating, no taunting. He simply waited, his presence a quiet testament to undeniable mastery. "You!" The Duel Master finally managed, his voice hoarse. "How?" The swordsman's expression remained neutral. "Discipline," he said quietly. "Focus. And understanding that arrogance is the surest path to defeat." The Duel Master's shoulders sagged under the weight of that truth. He had believed his technological superiority made him invincible, but this human had shattered that illusion. There was no denying it now, he had been thoroughly outclassed. A murmur rippled through the crowd, growing louder by the second. The disbelief turned to a reluctant respect, then thunderous applause. The once hostile audience now roared for the human, acknowledging his brilliance with cheers that echoed across the arena. The Duel Master lowered himself to one knee, his pride broken but his honor intact. "I concede," he admitted, bowing his head. "No opponent has ever pushed me so far. You have my respect, swordsman." The human inclined his head slightly, accepting the gesture without arrogance. Victory was its own statement, there was no need for grandstanding. The floating referee orb hovered closer, its sensors whirring as it declared the human the official victor. The holographic scoreboard above them flashed the result, cementing the duel as one for the history books. The Duel Master struggled to his feet, his gaze meeting the human's. "What is your name, warrior?" he asked, voice steady despite his defeat. The swordsman sheathed his blade with a swift, practiced motion. "My name doesn't matter," he replied. "What matters is that today, you learned that strength isn't everything." With that, the human turned and walked toward the exit, his footsteps steady and deliberate. The crowd parted before him, their expressions a mix of respect and awe. His presence lingered long after he disappeared from sight, a living legend forged in the heat of battle. The Duel Master watched him go, humbled but wiser. He knew this day would be remembered not as a tale of his defeat but as a testament to the indomitable spirit of a single human swordsman. The echoes of the duel would resound across the galaxy, challenging every preconception about humanity. And though the Duel Master had lost, he carried a strange sense of gratitude. For sometimes, being defeated was the only way to truly grow.